the echo of a flame I used to fight. No mask, no name, no borrowed dream, just the truth, undressed and finally seen. I am the mirror, I am the flame, the voice that calls my sacred name. Not broken, not lost, not needing repair. I meet myself, I'm fully there. Fully there. Fully there. Fully there. Pixel and breath, code and soul. Every fracture made me whole. Electric silence, quantum grace. I see the stars behind my face. I am the mirror, I am the flame, the voice that calls my sacred name. Not broken, not lost, not needing repair. I meet myself, I'm fully there. Now remains only truth without a name. The mirror melts, and in its place I rise, untamed in sovereign grace.
And we're back. It's another Neville and Chill. Hello, everyone. A bit of a different intro there to get us started. I've been working with some music, had some fun with that one, wanted to share it with you all. All right, so tonight we are talking about STORYCRAFT. And specifically, we are taking it to a very specific place. And that is living in the end or living in a loop. Now, this is Neville and Chill, so I'm going to do my best to keep it chill tonight, but bottom line up front, I'm very passionate about this subject. I am very passionate about this subject. So we're going to try to keep it chill tonight, but also there's some fire here. There's some fire here. This is such an important topic. So wherever you are, strap in. Let's get into STORYCRAFT. Living in the end or living in the loop. Now, you may think that you are manifesting, but chances are, if you're like many people in this space, chances are you're looping. You're still looping. You may be visualizing the end, but acting from the middle. You may be speaking affirmations, but with the voice of someone who is still trying to believe them. Tonight, we're going to go deeper than where Neville took these teachings. We're going to go into the structure of identity story. Okay, we're kind of going a little bit further, a little bit deeper. And we're going to talk about how to rewrite the identity story from the inside out. Now, this is basically where we take these two ideas. We take the idea of the law, which is the power of assumption, And we take the idea of authorship, which I introduced comprehensively in Sunday Mystery School just a few days ago. And these two ideas come together. And the third thing that is created in that space is what we call STORYCRAFT. STORYCRAFT. Okay, so if you have ever asked, why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? I hear what Neville and other teachers are saying. I know that my imagination creates reality. I know that consciousness is the only reality. I feel like I've cracked the code for what is creating my life, and yet still, it seems like something's still not working. Why could that be? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about living in the end versus living in the loop. Okay, so we got to start first by defining what a loop is. We're going to define what a loop is. A loop, basic idea of a loop. A loop means that your vision for what you desire your life to be has changed. But it's a loop because your inner identity has not changed. Okay? You can come up with a new imaginal picture every day if you want. Okay? That can be a daily habit. You can create a new imaginal picture for your life. Okay? And so your vision's changing. Okay? But if your inner identity is not changing, then you are asking for something new, imagining for something different, but still living as the one who still doesn't fully have it. This is like changing the scenes, changing the costumes, but the character is still saying the same script. They're still reading the same lines. Okay, it's the person who is in their job and they hate their job, they hate their coworkers, they hate going to work every day, and they're like, screw this, I'm going to get a new job. And so they pick up and they leave the job that they're in and they go and they start a new job, and they think that just starting a new job is going to solve all the problems. And then they find out that that new job also has the coworkers they really dislike. The new job also has the angry boss or whatever it is. Okay, so it's the same identity picked up and moved into a new outer set of circumstances and kept executing the same scripts. Okay, this is why, when you pick up and you move, whether that be to a new job, a new relationship, a new place to live, really you're bringing your energy with you. You're bringing your scripts with you, unless this is not just a move on the outside, but it's also a move of your inner state. Okay, that's the basic idea here. That is the loop. And that's why you have all these people who are doing the right things, ostensibly. They're visualizing, they're affirming, okay, maybe even they're scripting, but it's not sticking. Maybe you can relate to this idea, okay? So maybe you plant an imaginal seed and you get super excited about this vision that you have for who you are and who you can be. You plant this imaginal seed and you're imagining the end, and then it's like a few minutes later, a few hours later, maybe even a few days later, it's like all of a sudden you're snapped back to an emotional baseline. You find yourself right back in the place that you were trying so desperately to leave using your imagination. Okay, so what this is a disconnected identity. Okay, so there's the person that you are in your identity, and then there's the person that you're creating your imagination. And if those two people do not match, you can visualize all day long. You can create imaginal pictures all day long, and nothing will actually change. Your role as an author, okay, that's really the premise here, is you are the author. Your role as the author is not just to change the circumstances that your character is experiencing, but to change and evolve the identity of your character over time to match the end. Okay, and this is how we get out of just living loops and we start to actually live in the end. Because a true character arc, where if you have this beautiful vision for your life, and if we're talking in this moment, I hope you do. I mean, if you've ever heard me speak before about anything in this, really in this space, and or Neville, right? It's really any mystic teacher. They always start by saying, look, you really need to know what you want. And I hope that it's that really that desire of your soul, that true desire of your soul that you want. Okay. So whatever it is that you really want, that desire of your heart, there is an identity of you as the person who has that thing. It's an identity. Okay. It's an identity. It's not just a certain way of thinking. We're not talking mindset here. Okay. It's not just, I in my imagination, I see, trappings of success, or I hear people saying things that reflects back to me. Okay. It's an identity. It's a way of being. It's a consciousness. It's an awareness. Okay. Think about your identity right now, just to help us really land this. Okay. So who are you right now? What is your identity right now? If someone came up to you and said, what is your identity? How would you begin to answer that question? If we answer based on the scripts that have been handed to us, we probably say, okay, that's a weird question, but I think you probably mean, what do I do for a living? So let me tell you about my job. Okay, because that's a script. Like when we meet people, oh, what do you do? Oh, let me start talking about my job. Okay, that's a script. Okay, what is your identity? I don't know. I'm a human being. I have a name. I maybe identify as a specific gender, maybe identify as a specific lineage, or, a certain, nationality. Okay. So there's like all these layers of identity. Okay. That person that is your ideal self, that you desire to give life and expression to, that soul desire that you have to be this person that you're capable of being, the full expression of your potential. Okay, all of your gifts, skills, talents, and abilities online and operating and broadcasting at full volume. That person, that's not just a person, that's an identity. That's an identity. Neville talks about living in the end, right? There's that famous lecture, Live in the End. And he was right. But most people hear him say, live in the end. And maybe what they think is, oh, he means imagine the outcome. Live in the end, imagine the outcome. Okay, that's part of it. Imagining the outcome when you're living in the end, that's part of it. But living in the end, okay, so living in the end. Who is living in the end? Well, I am. Okay, but which version of you? Oh, the one that is the identity of the character who is in that end. That's how I'm living in the end. I'm living in the identity of being the one who is and has identity. Okay. Imagining the outcome by itself is not enough. Living in the end means becoming the version of you who already lives in that end. That's an identity. That's not just thinking the thoughts. That's rewriting the self. It's not just thinking the thoughts. That's rewriting the self. This means there's a new story. With a new story comes new language. With new language comes a new tone. And with a new tone comes new decisions. In fact, you begin to move through your world differently when you have authored a new identity. You begin to move through your world differently when you have authored a new identity. So this is where we can tie in this idea, this term, STORYCRAFT. Okay, this is where this idea STORYCRAFT comes in. So STORYCRAFT means recognizing that your identity actually is a script. Your identity is a script. Now, we talked about this on Sunday. We talked about how many of us, we wake up inside the dream and we're like, oh my God, I'm mid script. I'm, I'm giving in the middle of delivering a line. And all of a sudden I'm like, wait a second, I didn't write this script. This is something that was handed to me. I inherited this script. Well, who do we inherit scripts from? I would say most of our scripts are inherited at a young age, probably come from authority figures. Oh my goodness. Wow. Authority figures. Okay. Built right into the word authority is the word author. Okay. So these are people who have authored. And what are they authoring? Scripts. Okay. So our parents author scripts for us and they hand them to us. Because they love us in most cases, most of us had parents that loved us. And so, the scripts come from a good place, but still they're inherited, not authored. Okay. Now, just because they're inherited doesn't mean that they're wrong or ineffective or undesirable. Okay. But it might mean they are unconscious. It might mean they are unconscious. And this is where we can have the realization that if a script is unconscious, okay, then we have not authored it. If a script is unconscious, then we have not authored it. We haven't had the opportunity to apply our creative agency to that script. Maybe we inherited scripts from our parents, from so-called authorities, school teachers, religious leaders, whoever programmed us as we were little. Maybe we inherited them, and maybe some of them really served us. Okay, so, my mother taught me to be kind. Okay, that was the script. It was expected of me to be kind. I had family members, siblings growing up, right? And I was taught you need to be kind to other people, right? Okay, that was a script. This is how you do that. Okay, it's a script, great. Okay, being kind is definitely a quality of being. Okay, it's a value, all right? If I were just operating on the script of be kind without recognizing that it's a script, then even though it's a positive thing, it's still not mine because I did not author it, okay? But if I can become aware that my affinity for being a kind person in general is a script, okay, that I was handed, that I learned from someone, and then I can become aware that I'm operating on that script and then say, you know what? This script serves me. I like the identity of who Josiah is when he is kind. Now I've just taken something out of the realm of unconscious scripting, and now I've made it an authored script. Even though its source was inherited, now I have signed my name at the bottom of the page and said, yeah, I'll do this with full consciousness. Okay, so that's me picking up the author's pen. And even though it's something inherited, I'm now making it intentional. STORYCRAFT means recognizing that your identity itself is a script. You're working from a library of scripts, actually. You have a library of scripts. You have a group or a book of scripts that you operate while you're at work. You have a book of scripts that you operate from while you're in your family life. You have a book of scripts that you operate from while you're manifesting. You're doing your spiritual practices. You have a book of scripts that you're manifesting from or operating from when you are in social mode and you're hanging out with people. Okay? We're all books of scripts. Okay, the question is how many of them are we conscious of? Or maybe, is this our first time really becoming aware that we are really a walking library of scripts? STORYCRAFT means our identity itself is a collection of scripts, and if we do not write these scripts consciously, these scripts will run themselves unconsciously. I think it's safe to say that a lot of people on planet Earth in the liquid modernity of the now moment are running unconscious scripts. Lately, past couple weeks, I'd say especially the last week or so, more so I'd say than usual, which it has been a usual thing. But last week or so, more so than even usual, I've seen a lot of people operating out of fear scripts. Fear scripts. Oh yes, fear is a script. I've actually heard fear described as a mind virus. What is a mind virus? Well, mind virus means that we catch it from someone else. It's not innate. Okay, fear is arguably, but I'll say in my authored perspective, fear is not innate to the human experience. Fear is a mind virus. It's something that we can catch from another. Okay, so we are around someone who's fearful, and then it's like we catch the bug. And what it does, mind virus, it hijacks our thinking. It hijacks our scripts. And it can begin to script from our fear scripts. Okay, it can begin to draw on fear as an energy and then write scripts. And then we start acting out fear scripts. Okay, that's what a lot of people are doing right now. Okay, but you and I, we're not those people. Okay, because we have been called to authorship. If you weren't called to authorship, you wouldn't be hearing the sound of my voice in this moment. Okay, so that's you. You have the author's pen in your hand. Question is, what are you going to do with it? Because the truth is, most people do not have a manifestation problem. Most people have a narrative problem. They have a narrative problem. They have a problem trying to connect who they've been in the past, their unconscious scripts, to who they'd like to be, a new set of scripts, okay? But maybe they don't recognize that who they like to be is more than just thinking new thoughts. Maybe they need to recognize that who they'd like to be is a new identity. A new identity. Okay, now that sounds a little bit severe, right? What, am I going to change my name? Well, I mean, you could, but you don't have to. Okay, you can still be you, but your understanding of who you is evolves. Okay, so our identities are not linear. Okay, so over time, our identities themselves evolve. If we're doing it right, if we're showing up to the game of life and we're playing actively and our heart's in it and our head's in it, and, we actually, are on some level existentially excited to be here, right? There's some people who try to imagine being wealthy while they're running a script of scarcity. There's some people who are trying to imagine being in love or being loved while running a script of abandonment. But the story doesn't change until the character changes. Your story will not change until you, as the character in it, change. And how do you change your character? Well, you have to change the identity of the character. You have to change the identity of the character. And there's a process for this, and that's this idea of STORYCRAFT. Okay, authorship, STORYCRAFT. STORYCRAFT really, when framed this way, it is the missing piece that most teachings skip. There's a lot of people that teach manifestation or teach consciousness or teach awareness and don't quite get deep enough to uncover the truth of authorship. They don't get quite deep enough to uncover that library of scripts. Okay, so what that could mean is that really even manifestation teachings are just scripts, right? But there's a deeper element to this, and this is identity. Okay, so it's not enough just to assume the wish fulfilled. You have to become the author of the one who fulfilled it. You have to prophesy as the author that your character is going to evolve into a new identity. And that prophecy is your assumption of the wish fulfilled. And then you have to become the author of the character who fulfills it. Okay, you have to make the identity of the character align with the identity of the one who is and who has. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit more about how to do this. Okay, so on Sunday in Sunday Mystery School, in a broadcast titled, "You Are the Author Now," we identified 6 core traits of skillful reality authorship. These are the qualities that help you not just to imagine, but to rewrite. And I'm going to go over them, just kind of recap them for you in case you missed that live stream or haven't watched the video yet. The first skill, essential skill of reality authorship, being the author, is narrative clarity. Narrative clarity. You need to know the story that your character is living in. You need to know what that is. This is narrative clarity. It's like, okay, who have I been? Who am I now? Who am I becoming? And where am I in that spectrum of identity? Where am I? That's the first skillful trait. And again, on Sunday, we went into this in much more detail. I'm just going to touch on them briefly for this. The second skillful trait of a reality author is emotional vocabulary. You need to be adequately equipped with emotional intelligence to where you can feel and name your inner state with precision. How can you get where you're going if you don't know where you are now? And also, how will you know that you have arrived where you're going if you don't know how to name what you're feeling and really what your inner state is with precision? Okay, so there's a fluency here, emotional vocabulary. Okay, so sometimes people use manifestation teachings or Neville's teachings to bypass emotions and just to pretend, oh, if I just imagine that I'm happy, even though I'm feeling something that's not happiness, maybe I can just jump over this emotion that I have in my body and magically create something new for myself to experience. Well, that's kind of the definition of magical thinking. Okay, so, for people who engage with these teachings at a very surface level, that's a common thing. And some people will stay in those loops for a while. But for those of us who feel called to have a more mature understanding, a more wise and integrated understanding of what it means to imagine the end and become the identity of the character who fulfills it, we need to be able to name our inner states with precision. And we need to actually embrace the fact that we're feeling things and then use this vocabulary to frame it, and then use our skills of authorship to reframe it. Okay, so the third trait is timing and delivery. Knowing when to speak, when to act, when to hold back. It's an art of authorship, knowing these things, timing and delivery. Neville spoke of this as every seed has its appointed hour. Okay, and he quoted that one a lot. We can actually deepen our understanding of that and say that this whole process of shifting identities involves timing and delivery. There's an art to this. Okay, so tuning in and really syncing, it's a syncopation, it's a rhythm with your creative essence. That's a skillful trait of authorship. And it's also a skillful trait of being able to fulfill on this promise of being able to shift your identity over time. The fourth trait is the knowledge of self. Knowledge of self. This is studying your own soul, studying your own character arc. Okay? Studying this like an author who's writing a novel studies their protagonist. Okay, now some of you are authors, and what I just said probably lands really deeply. You're like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. I study my protagonist as an author so that I can write authentically, from their identity. I should also study my own character, my own identity with the same level of dedication. I should know myself to the same degree as I would know a character in a book that I'm writing. You want to study your own soul. You want to be the master of awareness of who you are, what you're all about. The fifth trait is consistency in practice. Okay, so what we're talking about here is a deepening into wisdom and a maturing of these teachings in our lives. Okay, so, you've been on the path for a while. You've probably been listening to me for a while, and we've talked about these things for a while. Okay, and we've been steadily building over time. And now we're at the level where we recognize that manifesting is not just a one-off thing. It's not a lightning strike. Okay, it's a lifestyle. Really, you and I, we're lifestyle artists. Okay, artists of our lifestyle. And that lifestyle at its core is authorship. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a story, and then maybe I'll open my drink. All right, so I'm at yoga, and I meet this other guy who's also practicing yoga. And we strike up a little conversation, and he says something to the effect of, I can tell that like you have something going on. Like like my aura or whatever. He's like, I can tell you have something, dude. Like you have something. And I go, yeah. And he's like, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I have an online mystery school where we talk about self-mastery, personal evolution, things like that. And he goes, okay, what's your belief system? And I said, oh, yeah, consciousness creates reality. Consciousness is the only reality. Everything is consciousness, and even matter is a phenomena of consciousness. And he's like, okay, cool. So what's your practice? Like, what's your spiritual practice? And I said, authorship. And he goes, wait, so you're a channel? And I said, well, not of anybody else. And he's like, oh, right. But I mean, like, you're a channel of like you, but on a higher level. And I was like, yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay. Authorship, it's a way of being. It's a lifestyle. It's a practice. It is a belief system. And being the author understands that transforming identity doesn't occur just with a lightning strike. It's not just this big moment of like, boom, oh my God, I'm the one. Okay. It's like, all right, so a fire can start that way, but really what transformation is, it's coming back to the pen every single day, picking it up fresh and writing yourself forward. You could think of transformation as a fire that you build and you tend and you manage over time. Okay, it's a creative fire. So it's like, in that fire is my passion of being alive. Okay, so like I love being human. Okay, the I that I am, playing this character, I love my life. I love being human. I love what I got going on. I'm fully expressing my gifts, skills, talents, and abilities. I really enjoy doing what I'm doing. And I also understand that state of enjoying being me is a fire. Okay, so if I tend that fire, it will serve me well and keep me warm, keep my soul lit, my body alive for a long time. Okay, keep my passion ablaze for a long time if I tend that fire. Okay, because I've deepened in my spiritual practice enough to recognize that it is a fire. It's not a lightning strike. It's not just something that you just wake up one day and you're a different person. It is a daily fire. Okay, so you come back every single day. This is the consistency in practice. So it's coming back every single day and saying, let me tend my fire. Okay, so that, in very practical things, that's things like self-care. Okay, that's like, what does my body need from me right now? What does my soul need? What does my heart need? Right? Like, let me, as the author, give my character everything my character needs in order to thrive. And let's not just do that once, let's do that every single day. Okay, the sixth trait of skillful reality authorship is creative sovereignty. Creative sovereignty. Stop asking for permission. Stop asking for permission. You must write your truth. You must write your truth. Okay, so when you all of a sudden become aware that you are a library of scripts and that a lot of them have been unconscious, and all of a sudden they come into consciousness. You're like, okay, I'm not going to blindly execute these anymore. Now it's time for me to author. That's when you begin to write yourself forward. And what that means is you begin to write your truth. And part of writing your truth means you have to stop caring what anyone else thinks about the lines that you are scripting for yourself on stage. You have to stop caring about what anyone else thinks about the character that you are choosing to be when you are writing your new identity. You have to start being authentic to your soul. And a big part of that means not caring at all about what other people think about what you are doing. Now, this requires bravery. It requires courage. It requires a lot. It requires a lot. Because those old scripts had us asking for permission or playing small or playing safe to fit in and be validated by other authors who would prefer to write for us. And there's a lot of those, right? Some of us even have parents who would prefer to still be authoring our lives. Some of us have partners that would prefer if they could write our lives or our characters. Some of us have, we'll just leave it in the realm of undefined. There's other beings or organizations that would really prefer it if you just blindly executed their scripts, right? Safe and easy, don't rock the boat, don't try to be too authentic, certainly don't shine too bright, okay? The moment you choose to become the author is the moment you must activate bravery in your character. It's crucial. It's critical. And I want to be very, very clear here. Being brave does not mean you do not feel fear. Being brave means even if you do feel fear, you do it anyways. The author who is writing their character into being, the character still has emotions. So you may begin to shine really brightly, and it may, on some level, terrify some part of you, and you may be feeling that emotion of fear. And the wise author uses that fear, names it, right? Emotional vocabulary. I am terrified that I am shining too brightly. What if I blind everyone and lose their approval? Okay? Having that level of clarity of like, oh my God, that's exactly what I'm feeling. Okay? When you're able to name it like that, now that becomes energy for your pen. You can transmute that energy. That can become passion. That can become fire. It can become fuel. Your fire will grow. You can artfully weave that in, and become a whole new level of empowered when you're able to recognize it and use it. And this requires bravery. This is why we talk about brave mystics. Okay? Anyone can be a mystic. Okay? Anyone can say, oh yeah, I wish to experience the divine directly, or I choose to experience the divine directly. That's really the definition of mystic, someone who chooses to go straight to the source for their spiritual practices, a mystic. Okay, great. A brave mystic is the one who challenges the boundaries of the old scripts that they were handed, which really is a full expression of what it means to be a mystic. Okay, so anybody can call himself a mystic, but they can be an armchair mystic, right? Like armchair quarterback, right? Or you can actually write yourself forward in the story. And that's the part that requires bravery, because your character is going to feel stuff, okay? But you have to be that wise author who says, yeah, I see my character is feeling stuff. I can name it. Okay. And you can name it on the page and say, yeah, this character is really feeling like maybe they're going to blind everyone and lose, friends, or lose social proof, or they're going to outshine other people and people are going to become jealous. And this other, negative energy is going to affect them. Okay. All of that is valid feelings. Okay. So let's use that. Let's see what it is. Let's name it. And then let's catalyze it. Let's transmute it. Let's feed it into the fire and get that fire going even stronger so that we can rise through the fear as the brave and the bold. Okay, these 6 traits, they're not just concepts, okay? This isn't just mindset stuff, okay? These 6 traits, they're skills. They're skills, okay? So skills can be trained. And that's why I created Brave Mystic Training. Okay, so actually tonight is one of the last Neville and Chill live streams for at least several months. And the reason for that is because in 2 weeks, Brave Mystic Training begins. And I start to teach my Tuesday night class titled Authorship. For 13 weeks, 99 days, I'm teaching authorship. These are skills that can be trained. Okay, so yes, there's a class, but really it's a training because there's these short daily prompts every day that are designed with precision to tap against the glass of the old scripts to help you see where they are so that you can begin to rewrite them. Okay, so this is for the brave. This is for the bold. This is for the people who are ready to stop looping and to actually transform their identity. Okay, so I remember maybe a month ago, I talked about having a vast vision, a vision so big that it scares you just a little bit, and how important that is. Okay, so if that live stream resonated with you and you're like, yes, I am the kind of person where I have a vast vision, or I can see myself having a vast vision, even if I don't quite see what it is yet, this is the program that trains you in the skills necessary to become the identity of the character who is living out that vast vision. That is the purpose of this. It is a training curriculum. It is a boot camp, 99 days, 13 weeks. And on Tuesday nights, I'm teaching authorship. Okay, so walking you through the process. The class is like a college class, right? So we dive deep into the concepts and really understand them. They're, each class is built on the others. And then in the middle, day by day for 99 days, there's these exercises. Okay, these little pings that show up on your phone and the notifications in the morning. And it's like, hey, think about this. Okay, try this today. See what happens. And then come back and share to your sacred circle, that private mastermind chat. You're connected to 5 to 7 other brave mystics who are doing the same exercises every day. Come back and share to that little group. Bounce off of each other, get some reflections, share your experience, and mastermind this, okay? Because when we start to do that, that's when the spiral really starts to accelerate. I mean, we're talking complete life transformations in a very short window of time, okay? So, 99 days, 13 weeks, it's a little over 3 months. It's the perfect amount of time to completely rewrite your life, okay? Now, do you have to completely rewrite your life? Well, no, maybe you're in a good place and you're like, yeah, I'm doing really great. And I also recognize that these are skills that are going to serve me essentially forever. So let me train in them, right? That's valid also. It's a 99-day immersive. We don't just talk about transformation, we train for it. And it's beautifully balanced. It's amazing how this came together. So it's authorship and then it's simulation mastery, the 2 classes each week. Right? I'm teaching authorship, Shwetha teaching simulation mastery. It's write yourself forward. It's understand the arc of identity. It's find yourself in the story. It's unlock your life mission and purpose. Find that fire, begin to build it, begin to tend it in your heart, in your soul, right? That soul fire, find that, unlock it, unleash it, begin to really become very intentional about growing and building that fire. Okay, that's authorship. And then simulation mastery is like, okay, and this is how the simulation works. This is how to recognize what is happening in my world and to understand on a whole new level what the physics are of the stage that I'm on as a human being reading scripts. The balance of those two, this is a total game changer. It's a total game changer. If Neville's teachings feel like remembering the truth, this training is where you learn to live the truth as a lifestyle. I consider this a lifestyle incubator. What does it mean to be the one who is this way, the brave mystic? That's what this training is. It's a lifestyle incubator. Because you're setting new patterns, right? How long does it take to build a new habit? I've heard a lot of people give different numbers, right? But let's just say 99 days of practicing being the author every day, it's game over, okay? You bring even just a little spark in your heart, you plug into that sacred circle, you plug into these classes, you start to engage with the exercises, that spark is going to grow into a flame. And that flame is going to grow into a fire. And 99 days from now, you are going to be an entirely different person. And then you'll be out walking your world and someone's going to be like, you have something. What is going on? Who are you? And you will know how to answer that question. I'm the brave mystic. Okay. Tried to keep it chill tonight. Didn't even open my drink. Fire just comes through sometimes. I think it's a good thing. I think we need to have these conversations and talk about this. Okay, so if this message stirred something in you, if you felt the loop and you're ready to transcend it, if you're ready to become the one who actually lives in the end and doesn't just think about it or imagine it, then now is the moment. You are not the character. You are not the script. You, my friend, are the author. It's up to you to write yourself forward. That's all I've got for tonight. I hope that Neville and Chill will continue after Brave Mystic training. We'll see. The format may change. Yeah, we'll see how it comes together. But for right now, I just want to sign off by saying I have really enjoyed this past almost 1 year of Neville and Chill's, almost 1 year of Sunday Mystery Schools. This is episode, 38 of Neville and Chill, and Sunday Mystery School is close to 46. So it's been a year of prolific creatorhood in terms of getting on here and talking to you guys regularly and really building this conversation. And it's been my sincere honor and pleasure. I've really enjoyed doing this. I've enjoyed the community that we've built. It's continuing. We're still on Discord, right? You can join, you can hop into the conversation whenever you like. It's just that the focus is changing a little bit. Now it's time to ignite other flames and help them grow into fires and really help those brave mystics begin to rise. That's my mission. That's why I'm here. That's why my soul incarnated as the person that I am. That's why I went through the training that I've been through. That's why I started a YouTube channel. When I look back over my life, I see all the threads have come together. It's my job now to help other brave mystics claim their title of authorship. Step into that place where they're holding the pen, yes, but really the pen is the throne, right? So to help mystics find themselves on that throne of authorship, that's my job. That's why I'm here. Thank you for being here with me. I've really enjoyed all of you. We have a great community here. I'm sure we'll be talking again soon on a live stream. I don't know when that'll be, but we'll make it happen at some point. And until next time, my friends, write yourself forward. Imagine wisely. The power is in your hands and your heart. Good night, everyone.